All right, Steeler fans, it is time for the Mailbag Segment right here on the Let's Ride podcast every Wednesday in the second half of the show. I answer your questions. If you're wondering, Jeff, how can I get my questions answered? It's simple. Find me on Twitter at jhartman, HARTMAN_PIT. Every Tuesday morning, I put out a tweet, and there you have it. You just respond to that tweet, and I will answer it live on the show on Wednesday. So let's get this show on the road. Jeff Kuhn says, greetings from Not Matt, Canada. Apart from getting George Pickens back on the field, what must the offense do to regain momentum? They felt a little stuck in the mud since the Cincinnati matchup. Once they lost George Pickens, everything has changed. I mentioned the chunk plays in the first half of the podcast. They were just finding ways to move the ball quickly. And it seems now that everything that they want to do, and they meaning the offensive coaching staff, they just want to try and let's just bleed them to death little by little, like 3 yards in a cloud of dust, 3 yards in a cloud of dust sets up 3rd and 4, and then we'll take our shots then. You can't be, I think what I would love to see, apart, as you said, from getting George Pickens back on the field, I think what they need to do is they need to try and push the ball down the field early, but they have to have success. You can't just throw it just to throw it. Like it has to be, okay, they're giving us the look we want. This play is going to work. A great example, second half against Philly, what do? They run a flea flicker, and it works. 32-yard completion to Calvin Austin. And after that, everything else changed. They had to adjust the way they're going to attack the Steelers. Do something like that. Getting a spark early, that's what they need to do. I'm fully prepared for that to happen. I'm also fully prepared to be hurt again. Let's go to Quint. He said, I loved Washington. He's talking about Darnell Washington throwing Darius Slay, or he calls them sleigh bells, out of the club, then eating those punches. It didn't even faze him. So this was he's talking about in the first half of the game against Philly, the play where Najee Harris ran, and it set up like a 2nd and 2, 3rd and 2. And that was when Darnell Washington took Darius Slay and literally just pushed him all the way to the wall. And they flagged the Steelers twice on that singular play, even though Darius Slay clearly right in front of official threw 2 punches at Darnell Washington, who's wearing a helmet. How stupid is that? But still, he throws 2 punches at him, doesn't get flagged. Yeah, Darnell Washington was completely unfazed. That is a mountain of a man. And he says, even later, he says he wants a rematch. That's what Quinn said. We'll see. All right, let's go to Believers, the Ride or Die Crew poll of the week. After the loss, the morale seems to be down in Steelers Nation. I personally see them going as far as the options are Super Bowl, win a playoff game, lose in the first round. My answer was to win a playoff game. I still believe that this team and this defense, if they can stay healthy, so if they can get George Pickens back, TJ Watt is healthy, Deshaun Elliott is back, Larry Ogunjobi is back. If those things happen, I foresee the Steelers being able to win a postseason game. And I some might say, Jeff, you're crazy. I think a lot of it hinges on if they have to play at home. I think if they have home field advantage, this is a team that's only lost 1 game at Acrisure Stadium this season. That matters. That's why this game matters. This is a huge game. I know that, and I agree with you, Believers. Morale is down, but I still have hope. Greg asks, people are upset that Mike Williams isn't getting involved and defaulting to it's a coaching issue. Isn't it possible he's hurt, way past his prime, or maybe just not getting it? I will rely on people like Brian Davis and especially Coach Kevin Smith, who were at the game in Philadelphia, and Coach KT Smith had an end zone seat. This is something Dave Schofield has talked about before on podcasts, where when you're in the end zone and Dave's seats at Acrisure are in the end zone, you can see the field opening up, meaning you can see routes, you can see holes, like running holes. And they said that there was no one getting open. Like there was no separation. And if they were running man, the Philadelphia Eagles were suffocating the Steelers receivers. And if they ran zone, the Philly defense was on it and there was no space. And so this is why Mike Williams, I mean, he's not, I don't think he's not as advertised, if that makes sense. A lot of people out there are like, well, Mike Williams is supposed to be this, that, and the other. The dude also did tear his ACL at the very end of last season. That takes time. Some people say it takes over a full year to fully recover and feel like yourself. I'm not giving him an excuse, but I also think that we didn't really have a good sample size. In the first half we did, but in the second half, they only ran 11 plays. And so, yeah, Mike Williams only gets 1 catch, and it's kind of mediocre and you're thinking, why aren't we using this guy more? It all stems back to not coaching necessarily, but the plan. And they're not utilizing him in the plan. So you can't fault Mike Williams. Yes, you're right. He could be over past his prime or over the hill. He could still be dealing with his knee. I don't know. He might not get the playbook. Who knows? We'll see what happens. Let's hope George Pickens comes back. All right, Haskins QB1 said, hey, Jeff, I know it's a bit early, but what's the biggest concern we should address this offseason, cornerback or wide receiver? Come on, man. We talking offseason already? They punched their ticket to the playoffs in the game last week, whether they win or lost, and we're talking offseason needs already? I'll answer your question just because I like you. I will say for me, I would want to go wide receiver before I go cornerback, but I think they're both needs. We'll talk about that in the offseason. Let's get to the playoffs first. Haskins QB1 also asked, hey, Jeff, another question, if you don't mind. Growing up, my dad always said he would rather it be third and short rather than third and long because 90% of the time, the defense will let them get the first down. Until this day, it seems to be the same way. What do you think that is? Or why do you think that is? I don't think that the defense will just give them the first down, but you have the numbers in your favor. So if you have a 4-yard run on first down, now it's 2nd and 6. You have a 3-yard run on second down. Now it is 3rd and 2. When you're at 3rd and 2, you have everything at your disposal. Run, pass, quarterback sneak if you want. If you have a quarterback athletic enough, you could absolutely run a sneak for 2 yards if you plan it properly. And even if you don't get the 2 yards, if you have a good short yardage offense, the Steelers do not, you could potentially go for it on 4th down and still probably get it. I don't think the defense is giving up or giving them the play, but ultimately it comes down to the defense just saying, we're trying to cover everything. The Steelers are not that type of defense, though. They will defend every blade of grass because there have been some occasions where you're thinking, here we go, it's 3rd and 2. They're not going to get they're going to get the first down. And what happens? The Steelers have a tackle for loss, or they stop them for no gain, and it forces the punt team to come out. So it's not always accurate what you suggested and laid out there. All right, let's go to Plain and Simple, or Maddie. He writes, howdy from Atlanta, Jeff. Would you consider Joey Porter's game this year a sophomore slump or maybe a decline in his game? It's not just handsy at this point. This coverage and tackling has been bad, piss poor, as he puts it, as it seems to. So for me, I look at Joey Porter, and I don't think it's a sophomore slump. I also don't think he's made a sophomore jump where, oh, wow, like this guy really improved his game. We're seeing a lot of the stuff that Joey Porter did last year doing again this year. That can be problematic. But what's weird is that with this behind-the-scenes look with Hard Knocks that we're getting, you're seeing that they almost want him to play this style. They're okay with him being this physical cornerback. So therefore, I can't really put all the onus on Joey Porter if that's what the coaches are asking him to do. However, I think his tackling is vastly improved. I mean, tremendously improved from last year. So his whole game is not bad. Don't get that twisted. I think that he is still a really good player. He has a lot to learn. He's had those bounce back games. He has a bad game, typically plays better the next game. He lets stack together good games, and I thought he played well against Philadelphia. Let's go to Brandon Diaz. He has several questions. First, who's our starting running back next year? Gosh, you guys, with next year questions, I get it, but I don't think it's Najee Harris. I think it's someone that's not on the roster. That's my answer. I don't think that person that's starting next year running back is on the roster, whether it's a rookie or whether it's a veteran that they sign. I think Jaylen Warren will be back. He'll be a part of the mix, but I don't think it's Najee Harris. Next, I heard some rumblings that Troy Fautanu could be back for the playoffs. Is that true? When he got injured early in the season, the rumor was, and I don't know if this was an official report, I'll have to go back and check, that he could potentially return to the team if a long playoff run happens. I don't know if that means Super Bowl. You hear Aiden Hutchinson from the Detroit Lions who fractured his leg. Like he said, like, I'm on pace to be back for the Super Bowl. If they can get there, I can play. Well, I don't know if it's that, but still, if Fautanu becomes available, are you going to just insert him? He's still a rookie. He has literally little to no experience in the NFL. Are you just going to put him in the game? I can't do that in my right brain. I just couldn't. So we'll see, but I'll have to go back and double check. Next question. Would you rather play the Ravens, Broncos, or Chargers in the wild card round, and why? For me, I would take the Broncos if it's at home. Give me Bo Nix, a rookie quarterback he's improved. He's playing better. I understand that, but I would rather play the Broncos with a rookie quarterback at home than I would Justin Herbert if he's healthy or Lamar Jackson again. That's as simple as it gets. And then last one here, Brandon asks your favorite and worst Christmas movie and why. All right, so my favorite Christmas movie. This is something my kids ask me all the time, and it changes every year. I have a select group of movies that are always on my list. It just depends on where they get ranked every year. So on my list, I know this is cheating, but I don't care. It's my show. National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation is definitely on the list. The Christmas Story with Ralphie. I love that movie. That's always on the list. Elf is always on the list because Will Ferrell I love Will Ferrell. He's hysterical in that movie. If you can't watch that movie and laugh, I have questions about your sanity. Also on the list, you always will have A Christmas Carol. I love the Jim Carrey version, which is animated. They use the same technology in the Polar Express. Other Christmas movies that I absolutely have to watch. I love the original Grinch. I think that's great. And I know I'm missing out on some, but those are what comes to mind right now. Definitely National Lampoons for sure. Other ones that I don't like, I've never seen, and I'm not going to say it's the worst Christmas movie because I've never seen it, but I'm not like a bad Santa guy. I'm not what is it, Krampus or whatever that scary movie was. Like, I hate that stuff. I like to be happy. I like to be entertained. I don't like to be scared. So that's where I'm going to go. I'll put out my Christmas movie rankings on Twitter probably next week so that we can debate it and all that good stuff. But I have to think about that more. Good questions, Brandon. Thank you very much. Lastly, Steeler fan 69, who always chimes in with the dad jokes. Here we go. Let's get ready. A gingerbread man went to the doctors complaining of a sore knee. The doctor asked him, "Have you tried icing it?" Which makes me think of Shrek and the gingerbread man with not the gumdrop buttons. Okay, let's go to the next one. What's the Grinch's least favorite band? The Who. Very good. And then lastly, what did the baseball player say to the flight attendant? Put me in, coach. And then he says, to your family, Merry Christmas. Same to you. I just realized that we're not probably going to have a mailbag segment. Well, we will probably have a mailbag segment next week because I'll still have a Let's Ride podcast, even though the Steelers play that day. It's weird. I've never been a part of this, covering this team when they play on a Wednesday. So we're going to have everything outlined for you. Nothing changes this week with Let's Ride. Monday, Wednesday, Friday morning. Be on the lookout for that. In the meantime, make sure you check out SteelCurtainNetwork.com. That is SteelCurtainNetwork.com. See my writing, Dave Schofield's writing, a bunch of others here on the team. Check us out there. And wherever you get your podcast, whatever platform, follow us to Steel Curtain Network. Let's hope the Steelers get their act together. As we used to say growing up, to avoid cursing, let's hope they remove their heads from their rectal cavities this week against the Baltimore Ravens, because it is Ravens week, folks. I'm excited. You should be excited. I can't wait. I cannot wait. Let's do this. I'm ready. You know, we finished out. Be safe, be kind, and God bless. Have a great rest of your week. We will see you on Friday. Go Steelers.